All right, man, we're going. We're live, so to speak.
Technology lords are listening?
Yep, they can hear you, man.
Good. They go fuck themselves.
They probably do. Say a few things. Let me test your side and make sure that this device is picking you up.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3.
Keep doing it.
New doggy dog on the mic.
Okay, yeah,
In your hood.
it's picking you up great. Perfect.
Okay.
It's picking you. Your waves are just as big as mine, so it'll hit everybody's ear the same way. Okay. Here we are. We're just talking about the world. What do you think about the world, man? All of the recent news. Every week is like a circus of news. So, what do you think of this week's circus?
Yeah, sometimes it just feels like a carousel. It's like you could just sit on that thing forever and it just goes around and round. And no wonder people get tired and fed up and like want to go watch reruns of The Office.
Right? That's a funny show. And The Office is kind of, it's funny you mentioned that. The Office really is what's going on. We kind of have wherever we go, have some kind of half-wit managing everything. And, you know, some of the smartest, best people, they just kind of want to be left alone doing middle-range jobs. You know, like Jim. And, what was the other chick's name? Beth? Pam.
Yeah.
Sorry. Jim and Pam. Sorry. The internet's going to kill me for that. But, yeah, Jim and Pam. I haven't seen that show in a while, but they were like...
Yeah, we can probably say whatever we want on here, but because you said that, they'll probably find your location and come like beat your door down.
Yeah, like, what? You got that wrong. Oh, how could you? Office sacrilege. But, you know, they were the smartest, most moral people in the entire show, yet they weren't in charge of anything. They didn't even want to be in charge of anything. They just kind of wanted to be, have their own story.
About, like, because, like, all the heroes that you hear about, they're, like, never good dads. And maybe it's just because maybe it would be a boring story. But, like, the really, like, badass men and moms, like, if you could paint a perfect picture, you know, like, I'm sure they'll have their struggles, but for the most part, they're going to be there for their kids, like, consistently. Because even, like, Avengers and stuff, I've been watching a lot of Avengers. I love those movies. But... like, none of them have any kids, and if they do, it's like, whenever there's a problem, it's like, sorry, Peach, I gotta go.
Yeah, Green Arrow. Is that his name? The guy with the bow and arrow?
Hawkeye, I believe?
Hawkeye, shit. Man,
He's kind of a loser one, I'm not sure.
Well, he's one of the only ones with a family. He had kids and a wife and stuff, and he was the only hero with, like, a wholesome home to go to, like, you know, a farm and all this stuff. And
which I guess those stories have been told. I guess maybe we've heard them so much it's old news, kind of like Little House on the Prairie and stories like that. Those stories have been told of good men that have helped their family.
Right.
I guess it just doesn't sell as many movie tickets whenever you don't have explosions and stuff going on.
Well, I don't think they even are selling movie tickets. Like, they're definitely not making as much money as they used to. So I wonder what...
No, Hollywood's over, man.
I wonder what the incentive is.
I think Avengers was it. The last Avengers, I think we will never see as good of a movie again. You'll see, like, some stuff squeak out here and there, but I don't think we'll ever see a big Hollywood production with a good story with millions and millions of dollars. I think it's too polluted. They're not interested in the story no more. They're all about interested in influencing people. There used to be good entertainment. There used to be a crazy story. And they were trying to make money. And now they're not. It's over.
Yeah, it feels that way, definitely. When I went to go, I think I've told you this before, but for the sake of the recording, Went to go see Star Wars with my dad, the newer one, and we watched the Star Wars movies when I was a kid. And I was like, all right, let's go see another one. He was like, all right, let's go. They're cool. We went to go watch it, and then Han Solo's kid kills him. Right there when me and my dad are watching this movie together. And we look at each other and we're like, what was that for? Why did he kill his dad? Well, this is a Star Wars movie, you know? I thought the trailer was like, this is a family movie, we're going to go. Nah, this dude kills his dad with everybody's family there, and everybody in the theater goes, oh my God, what? Oh, what? Oh my, no, why? Kills Han Solo. Cuts up Harrison Ford and throws Harrison Ford over a fucking guardrail like last week's garbage. And me and my dad was just like, let's get out of here. Let's go to the steakhouse. And we got up and left. We didn't even finish the movie. It was it just ruined it. It
didn't feel like they weren't setting up like a thing.
No, it was out of
crazy scenes, even the older ones.
It was out of fucking nowhere. Like Han Solo was like, son, I want to help you. Let me give you a hug. And he was hugging his dad. And as he was hugging his dad, everybody in the audience was like, aw. And he turns his fucking lightsaber on and slices Han Solo up and kills him and throws him off a guardrail.
Damn.
Yeah, fuck no. That is a no bueno. Unfamily friendly. Not good to see with your dad. Not good to see with your kid. There were so many kids there, and they was just heartbroken. And other people got up and left with us. I've never seen that. I've never really walked out of a movie like that before. I've never been like, man, this is just disgusting. I hate this shit. I'm getting out of here. I want my money back. But people left, and me and my dad talked about, we went to the steakhouse, and we were just like, what did you think about that? I was like, man, I hated that. He's like, yeah, why'd he do that? And my dad just didn't get it. He didn't, but I was, in my mind, and I tried to tell him, I was like, nah, it's like this satanic script. They're trying to get everybody to, like, have these dark thoughts. They're trying to twist it, make a nice family outing into a horrible, traumatic event. And he's like, what? But I don't understand why he stabbed his dad. And, you know, for real, I don't either, though. On a basic, just level of, like, what the fuck, man? I thought we were all gonna, like, get along here, and this was a Star Wars movie. But nah, they're like, this is The Walking Dead. This is, anything can happen. Everybody's gonna die. You know, we're gonna kill all the people. And then just replace them with these new characters that...
Maybe it's Game of Thrones' fault. It was, like, full-blown incestuous constant murder that...
Ooh, yeah, you're right.
Everything's trying to live up to that storyline now. They're like, all right, this is what sells, we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right, dude. Like, the desensitization, like, I remember watching the first season of Game of Thrones and getting attached to some characters and then they're dead. And I remember the same thing, even before Game of Thrones was The Walking Dead, that happened with that show.
I don't want to be a hypocrite because I've always been drawn to, like, fucked up things, particularly fucked up humor.
Right.
Even when I was, like, a young child in, like, 5th or 6th grade,
yeah,
me and my friends would make, like, terrible cancer and AIDS jokes just because we weren't supposed to. And that was kind of the appeal of it. But the whole thing was, it's because we knew that was out of place. We knew it was ridiculous. You know you're not supposed to say that. Now it's like you almost say those things and it's not even funny or weird because it's like people really think you mean that because a lot of people do mean stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
Like you could literally look at someone whenever I was in 5th grade and be like, I hope you get AIDS. And they would laugh. I was like, you're stupid, dude.
Well, I mean, I think
that now people would like genuinely get upset because...
Yeah, there's a place for it. There's a time and a place for it. I just, you know, I think there needs to be borders. I think there's a lack of borders physically and spiritually and even culturally. And what you're seeing now is what you're talking about, those kinds of jokes, those have a place in a comedy club where adults are drinking. Yes. But, you know, at a movie theater when there's a bunch of children and they see Han Solo get chopped up, it's like everybody's hero. Half those kids went there, or maybe not half, a quarter of them went there and be like, Han Solo's cool, he's my hero, he's in the movie again.
100%.
And to just cut up your heroes in front of your family, You know what? And then all the parents are trying to comfort the kids.
They're trying to establish new heroes.
Yeah, they're trying to.
And these new heroes that they're establishing, they're going to follow with their ideologies perfectly, rather than just being like a badass on their own merit because you want to make an interesting story. There's so many awesome stories that could still be told.
Right. And you know, everybody assumes characters die. You know, it's just off script, man. It's. I think if it would have been like, let's say, I don't know, a war movie or whatever, just something that everybody knows Star Wars attracts a bunch of little kids. You know, it's not like a mystery. It's kind of like making candy-flavored cigarettes. That's definitely marketed towards children. You know, sure, some adults like it, but most of the kids are like, hey, I want this thing. And they're lacing this poison philosophy and this nihilism inside of kids' movies and media. Is what's really, I guess, my point.
Society will never be stagnant. That's just the way humans are. We're always progressing in a certain way.
Right.
Like a mild example of this, when I was young, the word freaking started to become popular. And whenever I would say it, my mom would act like I pretty much told her to go fuck herself. She'd be like, don't say freaking, don't use that word.
Right. Well, it has the same meaning.
And then also, too, when I was young, the phrase, that sucks, becomes popular.
Right.
Obviously, it's some kind of, sexual thing. It's like it's lesser than because it's sucking. But now I've noticed as I get older, you would hear a lot of these women who used to, think that was kind of gross. They'll say freaking or they'll say that sucks. So the needle's definitely moved, and I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the needle moving, but the direction that it's going, it is. I agree with you. There's boundaries. People need to have healthy boundaries. So it just raises the discussion of how it's not necessarily a question of freedom. I think you should be free to make that Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it's more like you like rooms in a house. You don't want your bathroom to have no walls when you're taking a shit and have guests over.
Right.
And
if your toilet was in your living room when I came to visit you, I'd be like, Chris, I don't think this is appropriate, man.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to take a dump right here, man. Let's watch a movie. Don't worry, man. This is how I relax. Yeah, that would be highly irregular.
That's a pretty good analogy. I feel like that is what it is. I feel like these people are over here taking dumps in our living room.
Yeah. They're taking dumps on our heroes. They're taking dumps on our concepts, on our dreams, on things that people look up to and hope for. They're just.
That's because nothing means anything to them except for whatever they want to promote.
The bathroom can be on the TV set, or it can be on the coffee table now, the toilet. You can just shit there because this is where.
Can do anything all the time as long as there's diversity.
Right, it's diverse if I shit in the living room and shit in your shoes in the closet too. That's a diversity, so it's positive. It has to be. It's diverse.
You can shit in the living room, but you better not misgender me.
Right.
It's just so. The values are so misplaced. You gotta care about the wrong things.
Yeah, and you gotta have walls in the right places. Like, how big should your bathroom be?
So people's houses are silly now.
Yeah. How big should your living room be? How big should your kitchen be? These are critical questions that I've never really thought of like this before.
There's not necessarily right or wrong. A lot of it's personal preference. If you're in love with cooking, you might want to spend more money, more space in your kitchen.
So
if you're minimalist, you might not give a fuck.
So say we let's ignore the rest of the world. Let's ignore most of the country. Just in the regions that we know of in this country, say we all had to share a house. And we all had to decide how big the living room was, what we do in the living room, where the bathroom is, where we tell the bad, dirty jokes, where the bedroom is, where the privacy is. and where the kitchen is. What, like, had these agreed upon house rules.
I mean, me and you could talk about agreeing, but there's no way. That's one of the problems with America, even though I love America, is that there are so many people with so many different ideals and different cultures. I mean, nobody's ever going to agree on a house.
The United Roommates of America.
Some people want the whole house to be the bathroom. Like you said, everything can be dirty. There's no boundaries. Like, let's just be gross all the time.
Right. And the bedroom thing, like, we could have sex anywhere and boobies and wieners everywhere, and it doesn't matter if I'm in the bedroom, in the bathroom. I can be in the living room with guests over, with your family, your father, your mother over, and talk about these things. This is as they used to say, bedroom talk. That's not a thing anymore. People freely talk about all these sexual things with everybody.
I heard this dean of a college giving a talk one time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was specifically over, like, the business section of the college. He was the dean of the business college, and he was very obsessed with this number that there's more male CEOs than there are women.
Huh.
And, like, the whole point of the talk was, like, well, what can we do to address this to, like, help women become CEOs so that it's more even? People were, giving a lot of different ideas, and one thing I could think of is, like, how do you even know the same number of women want to be CEOs?
Exactly.
I'm sure these women are perfectly capable, but I think they might be smarter than men in the fact that they want a more well-rounded life. They're not just obsessed with spending time at work making more money.
Right. Yeah, and why is that a negative thing if a woman wants that? They make fun of her.
The reason I thought of that is because what you were saying a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like when men do get out of control, like, lots of times, like, women are very good at reeling them back in.
Right.
They, like, not only will they, like, just talk shit and tell you you're stupid, but lots of times these guys, like, they just won't end up being with them. Women are very good at controlling the narrative because, as crazy as guys are, that's one of the few people men will listen to.
Yeah.
Is when women start judging them.
Well, I think if things are done right, a man can respect their wife like that, or their whatever they consider them, their partner or whatever, and you form that relationship. And I'm sure there's moments where she trusts the man too, and he delivers as well.
So, one thing I wonder is, like, you've probably heard some psychologists say that, like, society is kind of like a pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, to self-correct, lots of times it swings too far one way, and then we come back a little bit, and then lots of times it'll swing too far that way. And it kind of, over the course of time, if it works right, it kind of self-corrects as it moves forward.
Right.
And I'm wondering if all this women empowerment, we've, like, put feminine energy on a pedestal, and just, like, pretty much, like I said, masculine energy's gross. Don't respect it anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's why our highest value, instead of a lot of these, like, clear boundaries that men are very good at most of the time, women lots of times are a little bit more loving, more inclusive. That comes with the feminine energy, accepting. So I think maybe where we've empowered that so much that instead of, like, some of the hard guidelines that have been in the past, but, maybe they were too conservative. Maybe now it's swung to the point where it's like anything goes as long as you're loving, as long as you're not hate speeching. There are no walls. Just be inviting, which has clear problems.
Yeah, that the way my brain works, just everything that you said, one concept comes out, and it's impregnation. Everything is ready to get pregnant by something else and receive energy and orders from something else. And now,
I believe even men are more feminine.
Yeah,
one reason is because of this technology. We can all consume all day.
Right, and that's a feminine thing is to do that, to take something in constantly and being told what to do. How many videos do we listen to of people telling us what to do and what we're doing wrong with our life and our diet and how to do this and how to? I mean, it's constant. It's just a constant thing.
It's not black or white. Like, even as a badass man, I think you should be introspective.
Right.
100%. You can't just be. Even though I hate the word toxic masculinity, like, if you're just over there, like,
being a dick,
measuring contests with your friends all day, you're going to be an annoying dude.
Yeah, well, we had, we already have terms, for that, like being a jerk, man, and, you're an asshole.
He's an asshole. He don't care about anyone.
Yeah, and
he's selfish.
All these toxic masculinity, quote unquote, terms are just fucking retarded. Frankly, there's people that are assholes, and there's people that are not, and we don't need all these terms. There's chicks that are assholes and dudes that are assholes, and we all got along fine for hundreds of years, leaving it at just that. And now we got to get a microscope and go, like, what's this?
You got to be careful, though, because a lot of those hundreds of years, like, women did not have, voting rights and stuff.
Well, yeah, but for a lot of that time, women couldn't control their reproductive organs either,
Yeah.
And, men couldn't, decide not to go in the army. You were drafted up until, like, the 60s. Every civilization would just draft you, if you're an able-bodied man, like, you're in the Navy, you're in the Army, shut up. And that's just what you got. So men had it rough, women had it rough, humans had it rough. And we didn't do this. Females, they're getting it fucking... Think about the female body and how unfair that is. They're pretty to look at, but being a chick, you got your period, man. You got to carry a baby for 9 months.
But I was doing this weird thought experiment the other day.
Uh-huh.
And I was just, like, creating this movie in my head of, like, what if this pretty 18-year-old white girl, very beautiful girl, got her whole life ahead of her. What if she woke up the next day and she was like a 30-year-old huge black dude that looks like a thug? And she just started freaking out. She was like, I want to be me. What do I got to do to get back to myself?
Okay.
But then I was like, and I do believe the majority, if that happened to the majority of 18-year-old white women, they would try to figure out how to get back, right? They're not going to want to live this new life as this huge black guy. But I also was thinking, like, there's pros and cons to both.
Right.
Because whenever I seen this big black guy, he was walking down an alley, and I was driving down the alley, but I was like, man, I bet he's not scared of anybody right now. Like, if I wasn't in my car and I was walking, I bet he would look at me and be like, that guy ain't gonna do shit. And unless I had a weapon or something, I'm probably not gonna do shit. Because, like, huge guy, probably been through some shit. He's very capable of protecting himself.
Right.
And that's something that the 18-year-old white girl doesn't have. But there's a lot more in life than just hand-to-hand combat. We all know that's probably pretty low on the list.
And also, it's you're considering that is just one individual, but usually these girls are attached with a family, a pissed off father, brothers even, people that care, that do protect her. Because that's the thing about women, and that's what I was saying earlier about how they have their period and they have to carry a baby for 9 months and all of this stuff. They're connected to the moon and the waves of the ocean. It's kind of unfair for them. And then men, we're so separate from nature, we try to dominate it and everything. And but that also means we have a high mortality rate. A lot of us fucking die We just die trying to make life more accommodating for our wives and our children. And a lot of men die for that, protecting women so that they can subjugate them. No. The subjugation is dealt in the cards of the DNA itself. So they just don't want to.
Is the way you come out of the womb.
Yeah, the women, the feminist movement just doesn't want to come out and say it plainly that they hate God for giving them a pussy. They can't say it. They have.
So rather than hating God,
they say they hate men because we're the closest thing. You know, they're like, "Fuck you all. You get us pregnant. Fuck you for making life." And I was actually having this conversation with my mother today about Lilith, about Adam's first wife, and how she didn't want to have his children, and she crawled out of the walls of Eden and ran away. And God had to make him a new wife out of his rib, because Lilith was made out of the earth and had equal power to Adam, so she didn't have to listen to him. So when the women had free power and will, and they were strong and just as big as the men, they chose to fucking leave. They're like, fuck you, we don't need you. I don't want to make you a sandwich. Peace out. Fuck this garden. And Adam was very upset and sad, so God had to make him a wife out of his rib that was a part of him, so she wouldn't leave him, because they're the same. They're one and the same. They're the same being. And it really pissed my mom off. She's like,
"Oh yeah, this is not a mom conversation."
No. Well, me and my mom have a unique relationship. We can talk about this heavy shit.
Not now, dude. We'll talk about this later.
We talk about all this crazy heavy shit, but anyway, my point was, because we were talking about like feminism and women's rights, and I said, well, you know, the way that it is for women, it's just not fair as it is, because you guys bear children, and that's difficult. I mean, is that fair?
It's very odd, because it's like, I can't say one's better than the other. Like, they clearly have some disadvantages, but like the power to do that is so beautiful.
But they don't think so.
With their children that me and you could never have.
Yeah, but people don't think so now. They're like, no, my career though. Like it circles back to what you were saying in the beginning. The women don't want that. And the media and the propaganda people are like, but you're stupid if you don't, and you really need to have a career. And meanwhile, everybody's getting pregnant. All these teenage pregnancies, like, that's natural, man. And they're trying to tell you that that's unnatural and evil.
My biggest problem with these college deans and these economists that are like pushing women to work, I 100% think the woman should have the option to pursue any career she wants. But I just cannot stand anyone belittling the family and acting like a badass mom is not the most important part of society.
Yeah, it's what creates our world, is these moms.
Honestly, like I think that's more important than a badass man who's over here creating stuff that like makes technology or whatever we're using better. Because you could almost replace him. I feel like most men are more like cogs. They're like worker bees.
Yeah, they are.
Well, and like a mom that like produces children, that is there and like raises her children, and of course a good man's going to help. But there's no way that a man is going to be as capable as that as an awesome woman.
Well, I think there's exceptions to both sides. I don't think women are automatically good mothers. I just don't. I've seen too many bad things, and fathers too. I've seen some great fathers that did way better than the mother.
I'm just saying, when the energy is displayed at high vibration,
yeah,
women are the best. Women are the best
parents. I forgot what I was saying.
And in a perfect world, you got a good mom and a good dad, and you're blessed.
Right.
And they balance each other out in a lot of ways. But if I had to pick one that was most important, I would much rather have a mom than...
Well, yeah, the mom... Well, see, they both need each other. The mom can't get pregnant unless there's a guy, and then the mom can't have a house unless some dude built it. A woman didn't build that house. So it's just we can't get away from each other. as much as we want to separate this,
it's almost silly to even try to separate or even try to do the hierarchy thing.
Even if it's not the biological father, it's the archetypal father. Some man built that house. Some man delivered that food at the store. Some man is taking care of the mother in creating a structure of some kind.
There's a man doing all of our plumbing.
Yeah, metaphorically, the father is present within the structure of the reality the mother inhabits. So it's
that's the patriarchy, you asshole.
Yeah, the patriarchy.
Get on board, man. You don't understand. It's all evil. It's what's holding women down.
Tear down these houses.
Out here working their ass off doing plumbing and stuff. They're the problem.
We all ought to live in caves. Because caves are vaginal. And that's the true feminine habitat, is the cave.
Houses are kind of vaginal.
They're like a womb.
It's a weird analogy, but it's kind of warm and cozy, you know.
It is. It's true. It's true.
Houses are more like wombs, I think.
Yeah. It's a place we're definitely gestating. We're definitely creating new things inside of these
wombs. A nice,
wombs.
comfortable house that like people put effort into to make you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It's kind of very womb-like quality, because like when you walk in that door and you shut the door behind you and you lock it, and you sit down and you relax and you don't feel like there's any threat. If there is a threat, they gotta somehow get in there. You feel pretty fucking safe in a nice house.
Yeah, man. Such a good. Yeah, it's a good. You're right. It's a good. It's a great feeling. What a great feeling.
Yeah, it's a beautiful blessing in these modern times. We're good at houses, and I think it was mostly inspired by the womb.
Yeah.
And it's out of just natural need for it.
Right.
God, it had to have been hard raising these kids when you had caves and stuff.
Yeah, man. or was it? Were they pretty sweet in there? Did they fix them up and make them nice?
I'm going to say it was hard.
They'll probably say the way we live in a 1,000 years was hard in our houses. They had to walk. Why aren't they floating around?
Yeah.
You have to take a shit and wipe your ass. Like, why don't you just teleport it?
Warm up their vehicles and stuff. Like, I bet that was cold.
Barbarians. Because not that long ago, people were going to outhouses, and can you imagine going outside right now and taking a shit? How cold it is.
It'd be cold.
It'd be cold.
I know people that still have outhouses. They refuse to get indoor plumbing.
Right.
And I'm over here like, you're missing out.
There's a heater over here, man. It's warm.
It's all about perspective, and I try not to lose my perspective. I work in like certain ways to make my life better, but it's so fast how fast your brain clicks and starts comparing your new life to everyone you're around now. It's easy to forget whenever you were in those bad times how good things are now.
Right. I'm trying very hard to do that now.
Gratitude.
Yeah. It's very good meditation. You're absolutely right to remember just, in what bad spots you're in, and then to be thankful for what a good situation one could be in. Like, I'm in a great situation. It's good. And then but to appreciate it, to not take things for granted is the hardest thing that I always hear older people say they wish they would have stopped and smelled the roses,
That's one reason why Thanksgiving has lived so long.
Yeah, the holidays try to do that.
I feel like, I love Thanksgiving.
Me too.
It feels like most people just don't give a fuck about Thanksgiving.
Well, they can.
The whole the point is kind of lost. They're just like, where's the turkey at? Okay, I'm full. I'll see y'all next year.
Yeah, those people can can leave. They need to leave.
But I also think that's one of the point of Thanksgiving is the people that do feel like they never connect and that everything's worthless. Like, give them a little taste of that.
Yeah, man.
Give them a taste of the happiness. You can't force people to be happy, but you can show them what it's like.
Right.
That's my favorite types of Christians. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily Christian, but the type of Christians that are just like kind of glowing. And you ask them, like, wow, why are you so happy? And they're just like, God's good.
God's good, man.
I don't like the what do you call witnessing? Yeah, I don't like a forced witness when like people are just going around like telling people what they should do. That's kind of gross.
Yeah. No.
But when someone like has a light about them and they're clearly in a different place than most of the people you talk to, and then you ask them why, that's pretty powerful.
That's very powerful. And a rare thing. You can almost feel the vibes. I've met people like what you're talking about, and you can really feel the peace around them. They're just like not trying to have any shit. They're just genuine. They got kind of a slight smile or something about them, and good vibes. Yeah, it's like a heater.
Now, I will also say though, there are people like that are not Christian. So,
oh yeah.
I think that's almost like a good person thing.
Yeah.
Some of them people just happen to be Christians.
Yeah. Or whatever means. Yeah, just good vibes is what I call it. Because you never know who in the world you're going to run into here in this country. It could really honestly be anybody that believes in who knows what. I've told you a little bit about when I was on the Amtrak train going around the country, and I met all kinds of people. We actually never got that far into talking about religion. We talked about so many other interesting things because people are very complicated.
Yeah, you got to know a lot to be a person.
Yeah.
You got to know like at least a million things.
Yeah.
And the things, and then like the extra 100,000 things I know is going to make me completely different.
Yes.
Than the next guy.
You'll have a different code, different operating system that you've made yourself, self-writing code.
And I listen to so many podcasts. Like sometimes I'm like, Jonathan, your brain is full. Oh my. Your brain is full, man. You just need to stop and think about what you already know and really figure that out. Instead of just constantly intake.
Well, that's what we're doing here, man. We're producing something. Out of all of your code and my code and the stuff you've watched and I've watched, we're making something new already, man. Well, and I feel the exact same way. I've listened to all these podcasts, read all these books, watched all these movies. I've got all these other ideas myself, and I feel like I'm just bursting with all this creative energy and ideas. And you know, even so far in how long we've been talking, I've said stuff that I even have never thought of. And I think I could.
That's one of the most important things about talking to friends and having friends.
Yeah.
Is the expression and the ability to think out loud.
Yeah.
Because when you're stuck in your own head, it does not hit the same as making these vibrations, turn these thoughts into more reality. Right.
Because you're absolutely right. Because I've tried to, just talk with myself on the microphone, and the newness isn't there. You're just kind of talking to yourself. Maybe I'm saying interesting stuff, but to me it doesn't sound as interesting. And I don't feel like I get more of these eureka moments than talking to friends and stuff. It's a very important thing. A lot of these podcasters, I guess, can just go on talking to themselves. But you know what? In reality, they're really not. They're looking at super chats. They're looking at their comments, and a lot of times people riff off of that when they're live. So really, I don't think there's many people doing it alone.
Super common. Nobody taking out other people's ideas and then exploring their ideas, which is very damn close to a conversation.
Right.
Ideal is such a weird thing because, like, when you're young, like, you fantasize about, like, what's going to be the next big idea? And, like, I remember, like, just sitting down and thinking when I was young, like, just trying to think of, like, trying to get the best, coolest thing to come into my head. Like, this idea is going to change everything. But as you get older, like, you lose that romanticization. And you're just like, more thoughts.
Man, I totally relate. Like, I feel the exact same way, man. I've always thought, what's the end? Where's the boundary of the boundary? I used to have this thought of, like, what's the end of the universe look like? And then what would it be like if I went past that? What would I be seeing? What would I be experiencing? Could I come back and remember it? Would I be outside of time? What would it do? What good would it do if I could come back and explain it? Could we invent some new technology? Could we have some new religion, new philosophy? Could I go and ask God a question? What's out there?
And it used to drive me fucking crazy that some inventions seem so obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, like the flat bottom taco.
Yeah.
Such a good idea.
But also, too, with the internet and everything, like, it's new ideals are, I think they're becoming increasingly more difficult to have. I think one reason is because we are consuming so much. I think boredom used to give a lot of creative powers.
Yeah, or meditation.
And also necessity, too. We have a lot more less necessity.
I think you're right. I think you're onto something. I think people had not necessarily less to do, but the culture allowed for a little breathing room, more breathing room than we have in our busy, debt-based society. It's like something that you could invent things. You had a little space.
Even though if you're getting ready for winter and you're chopping wood, you're going to get tired in like 2 hours.
Yeah, and take a break.
If you sit there for like 20 minutes and you're taking a breather, you're not going to be able to turn on Joe Rogan's podcast and listen to his thoughts. You got to listen to your own thoughts.
Yeah, and invent something to make your logging life easier.
Some guys over there just sitting like, why don't we just throw all these logs in a machine to ate it up and spit it out?
Yeah.
It's some kind of wood chipper or something.
What if we could sell it at Sears and every man could have one? And that's a great idea.
But those obvious ideals are, maybe I'm being nihilistic, but it does seem like they're harder to come up with now.
Yeah, I think we got to combine too many things. Like now, if you want to invent something, you have to combine electromagnetism, metallurgy, coding software.
You know so much to make a new invention now. It has to be a combination of like crazy technological invention combined with Wi-Fi, combined with psychology.
Yeah, exactly.
If it takes 1 million things to be a person, it takes like 5 million things to come up with something new.
Yeah, usually they got to have like think tanks is what they call them. Groups of people sitting and brainstorming, coming with new ideas for companies.
Clearly it's difficult. I mean, the whole show, Shark Tank, is just all about inviting people with ideas on to see if these people already have money and want to buy it off of them.
Right.
These people are very capable and very smart, the ones with the money. But if ideas were so easy, they would just they would think of the idea themselves and do it instead of paying this guy.
Yeah, those people aren't capable of creativity, so they have to outsource that.
I don't know. Some of them have created businesses and have original thoughts.
I think that's a rare trait to have a good blend of both.
You're right too, and like even me saying this, I could have been born 150, 200 years ago. I still may never come up with nothing. The inventor type, the idea type, that's not your average person.
Well, you know, what about the guy that came up with a ballpoint pen, you know, or the guy that came up with the Bic lighter? You know, maybe he just did that one thing, but man, that has enabled people to jot something down really quick. You know, it's enabled people to just light something up and get creative, if you know what I mean, or to just have fire nearby if you're cold and you're dying out in the woods, and you have a little bitty lighter you can carry now, and you don't have a Zippo that'll like leak out. You have a contained thing that'll last for years if you're stranded somewhere. So those dudes, what if they felt like losers and pieces of shit? They're like, man, I just made one fucking lighter, so fucking what? Gee whiz. Great. I mean, but really, man, they were like one note in the symphony. They did one great thing, and they had their part that they played. And some people might have like a few more notes. Whatever, you know.
One thing I thought was interesting about that book and movie, The Dark Tower, was that he had that magical bag of tobacco that never ran out. And back a long time ago, that was one of the most valuable things you could think of. But now, like, everyone has an unlimited bag of tobacco.
Yeah. Yeah, I got cigarettes all over the house in case I can't find them when I want one. But I don't smoke anymore. Until I do.
I was also thinking earlier how, like, we put things on a pedestal that are rare.
Mm-hmm.
And how I understand it, but it would also, sometimes it would be, I feel like you'd have a much happier life if you would just be happy with what you have instead of, like, always trying to get that one thing no one else can get.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I think that's one reason why like people put beautiful women on a pedestal is because we don't really know anyone that looks like them.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
And also, it's the same thing with anything that's like really pricey, like diamonds.
Yeah.
Well, you don't see a diamond every day. You can go look in the mountains for years, and you probably won't find a diamond. And it's not that it even by itself is that important or powerful. It's just that it's rare. Rarity, like something with rarity in humans,
gives it value.
Love having something that not everyone has.
I have a strange connection that just popped in my mind when you said that. Consciousness. That's something that nothing else has, and we seem to covet that, and we seem to have a sickness to go after these other rare things because we're a rare thing, and we want to identify with something that's rare because that's how we see ourselves.
I think some of these people that are trying to control the narrative now, like in Hollywood, they don't like people that have a rare consciousness. If you have your own ideals and your own way of life, they can never take that from you. The only way they could is to convince you to think like them. And now you're not special anymore, and they don't have to be jealous.
Oh, dude, and that way they can harvest the YouTube creators and control how many creative people there. Dude, that's fucking heavy bomb you just dropped.
Yeah, that feels like it's real.
That's real, bro. You just found something out through a conversation.
You know how hard it would be to like get a bunch of people to watch the same YouTube channel if we were all thinking our own things to the point where we're not even interested in this one guy over here talking shit about Fortnite?
Right,
but you convince everyone that like, no, Fortnite's all there is. No, you're boring. Fortnite's where it is. No, forget your thoughts. Fortnite's awesome, man. They were like, all right, man, I guess Fortnite's better than whatever I was saying. Let me go check this thing out. And it kind of goes, and whenever I say anything against diversity, I'm 100% for equal rights. I don't want anyone ever to be discriminated against. Not in America, not anywhere in the world, really.
Right. Me too.
But when you push it to the point where you take people's individuality away and you just turn them into this group that they were born into, anyone that takes away their rarity, you're not a special individual anymore. Because people make jokes about the snowflake thing, but in a certain way, we all are snowflakes, and we're all special. And if you live that to the highest vibration, like, that's powerful. But as soon as we all subscribe to the same thing, then easily controlled, easily harvested, easily turned into money-making machines.
And they turn us into cogs. Yeah, for their money machine. Yeah. Dude, yeah. Wow, that's heavy, man. I haven't never thought of it like that. But that's a very good, clear picture that I'm picking up now on.
Because I used to be obsessed with Pokemon cards when I was like a kindergartner. Probably like a lot of kindergartners were and still are. Right. But I remember like I always wanted Charizard because I bought 100 packs.
Yeah, rare.
I was like, that must be a very rare card.
Oh, man.
But now it's like, after this conversation, it's like, well, what if your personality was the Charizard?
Yeah, dude, I was just going to say that. Yeah. Yeah, where are the Charizards at, and why are they trying to control the Charizard people?
They want everyone to be a Pikachu.
Oh my God, dude, you are right. You're on fire, man. That's exactly what the fuck's going on. This is a great analogy. That's exactly what's going on. They want to put out the Charizards.
You know how easy we all are to catch in a Pokeball if we're all Pikachu?
Dude. Yeah, you got to catch them all. You got to catch them all.
Just remove the challenge, turn a Charizard into a Pikachu, boom, you got him.
Dude, they are treating us like Pokemon. It's fucking what YouTube is. That's exactly what it is. They're trying to catch personalities. Yeah, they're catching the ball, man. They're captivating these personalities, these YouTubers, and making this money machine out of them. And they're not encouraging further individuality. They're encouraging fandom, and that's the same thing with this OnlyFans. Yep. That the girl, softcore girl porn over there, where millions of people are watching and just paying, and they're not doing anything except, jiggling around a little bit. And YouTube is basically the same thing. These people kind of, I'm going to fill a pool full of Orbeez and jump in them. Oh, look at me. It's like fucking garbage.
Think a Charizard would ever pay for a monthly subscription just to jack off to a girl? No. Flying around, exploring, living his life, living a free fucking Pokemon's life.
I think they allow some Charizards, but then they were like, oh, we're going to ban you. Are we? I don't know.
They want to limit the number. We can't.
Yeah. Like,
you can't control society if it's a bunch of Charizards.
Like that PewDiePie guy, like he said a bunch of stuff that pissed everybody off, but somehow he didn't get banned. He was making them too much money. And there's who else? Joe Rogan. I guess he's one of the highlighted Charizard personalities that people just kind of can't touch. He's got to be this rare card that people like. I'm going to be like Joe Rogan. I'm going to be like this guy. My podcast's going to be like Joe Rogan. Everybody's like comparing themselves to this card, this personality.
But if you try to be something else, you lose your own power. You lose your own free will.
Right.
You can totally be inspired by people, but as soon as you start that copying bullshit, you pretty much gave away your power.
Right. Wow, man. I've never thought of it that way, but that's a good analogy.
Me neither.
It's a good picture, man. Individuality. So I've been in some Discord chats, and that's where a lot of philosophers and people that speak about religion and scholars are going to now, where we can have a conversation and not get banned for just talking, just like what is happening. What is your opinion? Truly, who cares if you're vulgar about it? Let's hear it. And we've finally got to this point, and I think there's a good segue here with the Charizard personalities, the control of individuality, the monetization of personality. Okay, so how many individuals can the Earth sustain? Is there a limit to the amount of individuals? And what I mean specifically by that is, say everybody was going off doing their own separate thing and we were not in groups. What is the limit to what's the group limit we should have?
I think your premise is a little bit fucked because even the people we categorize as Charizards, like, I understand your point, but at the same time, these people heavily rely on community.
Right. And
they embrace community and they love it. Mm-hmm. So they're still interconnected and they still rely on other people. So just because, you know, you are this free person doesn't mean that you don't want to connect and you don't love people.
So we should be comfortable with what card we're dealt, instead of trying to get the Charizard card and, you know,
100%. And the way I look at this is, majority of Pokemon, they had an evolution. You know, the first card is your basic Pokemon, and then lots of times it will evolve, and lots of times it will evolve into something else.
Right.
And that final evolution is you expressing yourself to your highest power.
Yeah, wasn't
Charizard, man, you can still like start off as like a Bulbasaur, and then you can turn into a Venusaur eventually.
Yeah, wasn't Charizard a Charmander before?
Yeah, that's how all Charizards start.
Yeah, and Pikachu turns into a Raichu.
Right.
Yeah. So but something about that, I think the Charizard was because it was a dragon and it's got the wings and it breathes the fire and
it's a free fucking person.
Yeah.
But I will admit, like, not everyone's destined to be that. Some people don't crave freedom in that way.
Right.
I'm not saying that everyone's supposed to be a Charizard, but what I am saying is that it's interesting that they don't want you to be.
Yeah. Or it's interesting it's controlled. It's like it's like with the Pokemon thing, they were pushing this card like, oh, I noticed this is rare, this isn't around. And then you're talking about the female body form, oh, this is a rare thing. And all of the chicks that read the beauty magazines are feeling like they need to look this way and they feel ugly if they're not. And then likewise, everybody feels stupid for not being like the Charizard thing. And I think there's a correlation between all of it. This sense of, I'm not the good enough thing on the pedestal of society. I am stupid and I'm not going to create. There's a shame in creation. Like, what if you are a Squirtle? What if you love the water? Make your Squirtle art or engineering idea. You know what I'm saying? I'll play your card on the table, and they seem to want to stop us from playing our card on the table and just playing the game of life. They're like, you got to be this way. You're not quite like that. Nobody's going to listen to you. And
when I say they, what I'm mostly talking about is the algorithm.
Right.
The algorithm that goes into all this social media, because it basically wants you to become like the lowest base level of yourself and just keep consuming whatever you're consuming to the max degree.
Right.
Because if you evolve beyond that, then you don't need them anymore. And the next thing you know, like, you're producing things, and they're like, well, I mean, we kind of like you more whenever you're making us money. You're trying to do your own thing now, and it's not really beneficial to our stockholders.
Do you think that is the bottom line for a lot of the predicament that we're in? Is
I think one of the biggest problems of today's society is the algorithm. Okay. And it's not necessarily that Mark Zuckerberg and these people are evil. It's just, it's obvious. Like, this is the natural progression of it. Is that they're going to feed you more of what they think you want. So if you do want the same drama and you want the same arguing about news, like whatever you're into, they're going to feed you more of that. I have noticed, though, that, like, I'm a weird guy. And Facebook and a lot of these social media programs, they can't make an algorithm for me. They don't understand me.
Me too, man. They think I'm an old man that needs to apply for Social Security or Medicare. I got all these ads on my YouTube.
Every like 3 or 4 ads, they might land one home, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's interesting.
Right.
But it's more misses than it is hits for sure. I'm like, if you guys are so technologically capable, like, you're going to have to do better than that.
Yeah,
Tell
man.
me something I want, I might buy it.
They're working on it. They probably have enough data to figure it all out by now.
I think that's one of the issues. I haven't partaked as much as a lot of people.
Yeah, that could be the biggest protection against that type of stuff is not participating. They just don't have a record on you, and their accuracy is off.
I'm not like against necessarily the algorithm per se, because people have done experiments. Like if you go in and you type in a bunch of puppy videos on YouTube, next thing you know, you're getting more puppy videos recommended. I do think the algorithm kind of just wants to like show you whatever's going to keep you watching.
Right.
Now, one of the clear problems is like if you like things that piss you off, then well, that's going to be your feed.
It's like when they say looking into a glass darkly, you see this dark reflection of yourself in how the technology's applied.
So eventually we'll be able to judge people by their algorithm.
I think it's already like that. You get on their
YouTube channel and you're like, oh man, you're gross. You're fucking toxic, man.
Right. Hey, have you not done that? I like looking into people's channels and looking at their favorites, their playlists.
Right, it is interesting.
Yeah, and so, you know what? I have found some of the most interesting shit by doing so. Because, usually if somebody's leaving a comment in a video you like, you guys have shared interests. And then I'm like, let's see what you got. Let's see what gold mine's in here. What videos are you going to show me, strange person I don't know? I like your comment. Is that creepy? Am I like a comment stalker?
No.
But I'm so interested. It's so fascinating to me that we can be connected like this. And, hey, it's up there. I can see what their playlist is. I can see their other comments. I can see who this person is.
I don't think technology is inherently evil. I think it's a tool just like a hammer's a tool.
Right.
You can take a hammer and bash someone's skull in. It's not the hammer's fault.
Right.
You can use technology and control people and feed them a narrative. It's not technology's fault.
It's funny.
You also use technology to connect people, like you were saying, and be like, hey, let me show you this new song. Let me show you this new video. Let me show you this guy.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because my nephew was over here today, and we were in the craft workshop, and I left a hammer out, and he picks it up, and he starts swinging it around, and we're like, oh, no, you don't know how that works yet.
Yeah.
But, one day, I'm going to show that kid how to swing a hammer, and he's probably going to build some really cool stuff. But right now, he just doesn't know what it is, how it works. This thing will take your eye out if you hit it this way on your head. You got to be really careful. And I think that's what this internet YouTube stuff is. We're kind of like a kid playing with the hammer, like I saw today. It could be really handy, and some people that don't know what it is, it hurts them. They like bash themselves in the head with it, playing with it, thinking it's fun.
It's not because hammers are bad.
Yeah, it's not the hammer's fault. And just like you're saying, it's not the algorithm's fault. I believe I agree with you. It's a lot of people, maybe they're fucked up,
Yeah, I think half of the algorithm is just reflecting people continuously searching for stupid shit.
Right.
Yeah. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Right.
So this leads me into the metaverse.
Oh, here we go.
And some people are completely against this. But I have a little bit nuanced approach. I'm looking at it like video games. I love video games as much as anyone. There's been games that I've probably played way too much. People would be like, I can't believe you spend as much time on this.
Right.
But if you can jump into the metaverse and have a good time for like 30 minutes or an hour, and you come back and you want to talk to your friends, like, hey man, guess what I did? Guess what I seen? Then to me, there's nothing wrong with that. a lot, and the metaverse is going to be better than the real life, and these people will be the first people to join the, quote, matrix, unquote.
I got a little bit of a different angle about it, but that's the point of these conversations. I'm afraid of it, and I agree with you in principle that this could be.
No, I have this natural fear and hesitancy that I haven't really put into words yet, but I agree with you. I have fear over it.
And I'm just looking at the big picture here. Which I don't think I can. It's probably a bad thing and sometimes a good thing, but the COVID epidemic, metaverse. I think I'm just afraid that they're going to try to force everybody onto it to work, and that they'll force you into the matrix to get a paycheck. That's where I'm coming from. I think in principle it's great, but I feel like a lot of these technologies is like a paving a road to hell. It's got good intentions, but it seems to be going in a direction where people can't be people anymore. There's not an option to be people. Like money. If you okay, I know this is kind of a curveball I'm throwing here, but think about money. If I have gold in my pocket and I go down to the grocery store and I give the cashier gold, they're not going to accept that.
Right, even though it's clearly valuable.
Even though it's clearly valuable. My fear is the same thing will happen with work and technology and this metaverse thing. Does that track? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like,
it feels, I understand what you're saying, but it's we still have to make a lot of leaps at this point because
right.
There's several jobs that cannot be done in the metaverse.
Okay, like for example, cell phones.
Electricians, these type of people, like you're gonna need them.
Well, no, you don't need them. You can have a drone that has hands, and someone in the metaverse is flying it, bro. You don't need anybody to be there. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking that can happen right now. Driverless cars. You want to be a trucker? Get in the metaverse and VR truck drive. They have truck driving simulators. Video games of where you're just driving a fucking truck. Hauling cargo.
You're right. Well, because we're not there yet, but it's just a matter of time until we are.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at, the big picture, like this next century. Like, what the fuck are we doing? What are my kids going to be dealing with after I'm dead? So, okay, what the hell was I saying? I'm confusing myself with this concept that I'm conjuring up here. What was I just saying? Shit.
So you're saying that eventually this is going to take our humanity away.
Yeah, well, okay. Oh, yeah, cell phones.
People out in the world.
Oh, yeah. I was going to give you...
have to sink into this metaverse to really do anything in society.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, you got me back to my idea of what I was going to say next to you was cell phones. Cell phones, most jobs, you got to have a cell phone. You got to be in constant 24/7 communication with a lot of these blue-collar jobs. If you're working on, any kind of important thing, power lines, gas well, if you're working for the cable company and TV, you got to have your cell phone 24/7 for service calls. If you don't, they got a big problem with you. That's what I'm saying. Like, 20 years ago, what, a cell phone? No. Maybe a beeper, and there's cell phone towers everywhere, so if you have your phone off or something, your boss is like, that's a bullshit excuse. You need to have your phone on or you're fired. You know what I'm saying? It gets more... It's more impossible to get away from the quote-unquote system, the man, the whatever, the job, the slavery people are saying now, the plantation, if you will. That's what I'm getting at. The technology's seeping in to where we don't even notice quickly.
Now, some of these younger people, to give you a little bit of pushback, understand this. And when I was in college, it was more of just like a selling point for jobs that really wouldn't respect it. But there was this thing thrown around called work-life balance.
Right.
But now it does seem like more and more of these college students are like, they actually want work-life balance because they understand that you can be reached 24/7. Like, the communication is not the issue, exactly like you said. Majority of people have signal 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these kids that are graduating now, like, they refuse. They are not working more than 40 hours a week. Apparently, there's this massive shortage right now going around in public accounting because these kids are not wanting to work 50, 60 hours a week. So they're taking these jobs that, pretty much guaranteed about 40 a week. They'll work their 40, and they're like, when I go home, I'm home. Go fuck yourself.
Right.
So I think these kids are well aware that just because I can be reached doesn't mean I want to work all the time. Because when it first hit us by storm, we were like, oh, well, I guess we can work. We should probably work. But I think a lot of these kids are they understand very well, yeah, you can reach me, but I'm good right now.
Right. I think you're absolutely right.
And I think this is a value that we probably should instill in our kids because, yeah, I know there's times to work hard in your life, but it's not worth missing out on your family. It's not worth missing out on your golden years to work 60 hours a week just for a couple extra thousand a year,
Yeah, did you hear that 4.3 million people quit their jobs in September?
There's this massive, crazy movement going on called anti-work.
Yeah.
And it's a whole subreddit dedicated to it. So I see examples of this all the time. I was reading about this example of this guy pulled up to a Wendy's, and he watched the manager lock all the doors and just walk out. 4 people followed him. There was just one guy there that was new that stayed. He can't fucking run a Wendy's. He's new.
Man.
And this is more anecdote, but, anecdotes matter a little bit. A couple of years ago, McDonald's used to be lightning fast and the food always tasted the same. Some of these McDonald's, people are quitting so fast that the line's going all the way out to the road, and by the time you get there, they don't even have half of the things that you would are in the menu.
Yeah,
I
man.
was in line 20 minutes the other day, and I heard the guy on the other intercom. He said, "Can I get the salad?" And I heard him say, "We can't sell salads right now." I think it's because of so many people quitting so fast that they can't even offer what they say they offer. And some of these smaller level jobs are falling apart.
Yeah, instead of the Great Reset, we got the Great Resignation. Everybody's quitting. They're like, fuck this shit, I'm out. I'm not doing it. I think it's glorious. I mean, I'm
torn on it.
Well, I think it's in renegotiation. All these companies are going to have to renegotiate if they want workers. Because they don't have robots yet that can do this shit. So they have to work with the humans still yet.
You're right. I'm in favor of the renegotiation because if McDonald's is making this amount of money every year, the wage rate for the basic person should be higher. The CEO can make less. A lot of the people, the stockholders, can make less.
Yeah, and think about it. It could have been violent. They could have trashed everything, went in there and demanded it. But, this is
a peaceful protest.
Yeah, this is beautiful. People are just like, you know what? I'm going to go make a hydroponic garden. I'm good. I think I've saved up enough money. I'm not going to be abused at work. I'm not going to make it to where I take the shit and I can't tell a customer off if they're being an asshole. There's no excuse that humans should take shit.
One of the things that sucks about this is that we might not be able to buy 99-cent McChickens anymore.
Oh, no.
But you should get a McChicken for 99 cents. It's like a nutritious sandwich, There's a lot of protein, a lot of fats and carbs in it. It's kind of ridiculous that it's 99 cents.
Right.
The only reason they were able to do that is because there was millions and millions and millions of minimum wage workers. You got to share them profits a little bit. And if that means jacking that McChicken up to $3, well, so be it.
Yeah, people need to get paid. People need, as they say, a living wage, without constantly inflating it. I don't,
Well, I do have some problems with the living wage because at the same time, like, no one has to work for McDonald's.
Right.
And also, too, it's not hard work. It's very easy. How much do you deserve if you're sitting in the drive-thru taking orders? Which I guess is, that's the thing about the free market. It will decide, won't it?
Yeah, why do you think there aren't other businesses that could help absorb some of these college graduates? And, there's so many college graduates, more than ever in history. Well, are they not getting paid enough?
The issue with that is that there's more college graduates, I think, than the market needs. Everyone's preached when they're in high school that you better get that degree. So all those kids are just doing what they think they're supposed to do.
Well, so those people that aren't in high, so if there's not enough for the market, what do you do with the rest of those people? That's what I mean by the living wage. How can you have it to where the people that do all this... And here's another question. What the hell is our country doing? What are we making? That's a whole other issue, is we're not. China is making it. Other places are making it.
We're making the metaverse.
Yeah, so all that's left is really McDonald's and grocery stores. So if that's all we can do with our college degrees, and we're all in this debt, I mean, of course there's a breaking point. Of course there needs to be a renegotiation. I just don't know how these companies are going to handle it. The only thing they can do is pay these people. And the only thing our country can do is try to create other jobs besides flipping burgers, man, or bagging groceries. When I worked in all these places and gas station, everybody that I worked with had a college degree. All of us did. All of us had college degrees, and it's just kind of like, what are we doing here?
Where it goes back to the rarity thing.
Yeah.
Used to be like in the 90s, if someone went to college, you're like, well, damn, you got a degree? Holy shit, man.
Right.
Now it's like, oh, yeah, we all got college degrees, man. It's cool.
Yeah, it's true. You kind of feel like a loser if you don't have one nowadays, right?
Yeah, it's like the high school diploma volume 2.
Yeah.
And, oh man, this is a massive fucking problem because part of it too, like, seems like a lot of these college degrees are easy to get. It's almost kind of like show up, put your time in. You're going to get B's and C's. And I think a lot of companies understand that just because you got a college degree doesn't mean you're capable, doesn't mean you want to work hard, doesn't mean you're trying to really think about things. It just means you showed up for extra 4 years.
Yeah, it's like a sign of dedication.
Yeah, it's kind of just like, all right, here's your attendance award. You got your attendance star. You'll probably show up to work, so we'll give you a job.
Ooh, that's it.
We ain't going to pay you anything special. You're just good at showing up.
Damn, dude, that's savage. That's exactly what it is, man. Wow. You've perfectly described how I have felt about it, about my college degrees, because I'm just like, what?
Here's your attendance award.
Yeah. Who, in all the jobs I've gone to, nobody's ever asked me for a resume. They don't care. People don't fucking care. I've always brought it. I mean, I guess they looked at it, but they're like, oh, I don't need to see that, I guess they want to see that you've brought it you know, and that you have it, and I don't know, it's some kind of weird game.
Every job that I've applied to, I haven't heard of anyone getting called that I put on my references.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
If someone wanted to, they could probably make up their entire degree and their references to get a badass job.
Yeah.
As long as they were kind of smart, it'd probably figure it out.
I used to have a kick-ass, neat-looking resume, and now, man, I have no idea what the hell I'd put on that now. I got too many other things I learned how to do. But who knows if that'd be accepted, since some of those things I didn't have a boss. But, you know. Is a resume only good if you had, like, another guy telling you what to do? Or if you were doing your own thing? See, then they can't call a reference.
It's what you make it. Because whenever you're applying for a company, you're a salesman now.
Right.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to sell yourself. So if you can sell what's on that resume and make yourself look good, and you're a good salesman for yourself, that's why a ton of people get jobs that they're not qualified for, but they're very good salesmen, and they come off as capable.
Right.
Tesla. Yeah, I think they don't require college degrees anymore.
The company, the car company.
Mm-hmm.
That's badass. Because, you know, there's so many creative people out there that would probably do a great job.
In place. Like if you say that you're good at coding in a specific language, or if you're knowledgeable about this certain thing, they're not going to let that slide. They're going to go, well, what do you know about it? They're going to ask you very poignant questions. And to me, I mean, that's more of a fair interview anyways, because what if a guy has spent his last year of his life, like, researching this topic online and testing himself?
Yeah, people are capable of having, you know, their own research they can get into nowadays with the way technology is. They can really just burrow into their house and learn some complicated technical skill. You know, even engineering and drafting. I play around with Inventor and all these other type of 3D printing programs, and you could sit there and say, this is stainless steel, this is tungsten, this is aluminum. What would it look like if I stressed it out this way and this way? And you could sit in there and design your own damn airplane or car or whatever you want in your house.
Yeah, I've probably listened to over 500 hours of like different physical therapy and different workout podcasts.
Yeah.
About like a lot of different issues in the body. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm probably more qualified to like fix certain injuries in the body than a lot of probably physical therapists are.
Right.
And I have no schooling with that whatsoever.
Yeah, you just need experience, because the only thing that would be missing is how different all the different bodies are, and the shapes and how they distribute their weight, or all that other stuff that I'm not sure about. But, you know, if you started with people, then it would...
You're not sure about it, but I am.
Yeah.
A lot of these podcasts address like different body shapes.
Oh, well then never mind. I mean,
structures.
There you go then.
Different postures. Everyone has their own problems, and it's very person specific how you would address this. But that's just hilarious that I'm like so knowledgeable in this, and I have no schooling whatsoever. And I'm sure there's a ton of other people in my situation where they're like extremely knowledgeable about this subject and have no degree to back it up.
Right.
Like the knowledge I know about that, like if people just were concerned about like knowledge and like how good you were at something, I feel like I could get a job at a lot of physical therapist offices.
Right.
I'm sure they would coach me and tell me like some details that I was missing. But you're ridiculous if you think that a fresh college grad is not going to need the same thing.
That's true. My sister is into that stuff. She went to school for it. I guess she's not into it. She made a career of it.
All right.
She did occupational physical therapy, which I think is more interesting. It's that's like functional stuff, like stuff you got to do every day, and figuring out new types of exercises to help them do that specific task to get back to work or back to their life or whatever they were doing.
There's this new type of workout style that's emerging. It's all about human movement, and it specifically focuses on the movements that we learn when we're an infant.
Oh, interesting.
And it addresses a lot of things that you don't think about, like posture.
Right.
And like intra-abdominal pressure.
Right.
But some of the first things you learn about whenever you're a young person and you're trying, like just sitting up. Like a lot of 2-year-olds are better at like laying on their back and sitting up than 50-year-olds are.
Yeah, and also you're onto something that is coming to my mind is kids are really strong, and they can lift their bodies up and do flips and go fly up a tree basically, and maybe this exercise could unlock that strength again for people. You know, because gorillas have crazy strength. Maybe the gorillas are constantly doing these type of exercises since they were infants, and they're just like crazy ripped.
A lot of that is because they've been naturally moving so long in their natural environment.
Yeah.
They don't have weak links like we do.
Right.
Humans are like very strong, but your brain is smart, your body is smart. If it knows it's going to fuck at your back by picking up this weight, it's not going to let you pick it up. Something's going to feel weird or off, and you're like, nah, I can't do it. But if you address a couple of those weak links, next thing you know, you can pick up like an extra 100 pounds.
Right.
It just drives me crazy that the science can go in such a beautiful way, and it can also be the detriment of us all.
Hey, that's
like
true.
You were talking about the metaverse. It could potentially suck us in, and like if you're looking at a purely financial model, like the best idea that it can do is, like you said, is like require us to be in the metaverse to even make money.
Right. Yeah, like you got to have your cell phone and you got to have the money. You can't use gold. These are the new standards now that we must apply across society. And then, you know, people that don't want to go into the metaverse, they'll be like considered second-class citizens or Amish people or whatever.
And also another problem with this is it's going to be like a kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because people are going to get worse at living outside of the metaverse the more you're in it.
Yeah.
Even something simple like taking a step. If you're very good at walking, your legs are strong, and you have good posture and control of your body, you're probably going to like hiking a lot more because it's easy. You're like, I could walk all fucking day. This is easy.
Right.
If you're in the metaverse for like 8 hours and then you unplug and you go for a hike, you're like, this is exhausting. This is terrible. I don't like it at all. It's so challenging.
They made a movie about that actually called Surrogates. It was a Bruce Willis movie. And everybody was like in the metaverse and their bodies were asleep in these pods, and somebody was awake and going into people's homes and killing them in their metaverse pods. And Bruce Willis was a cop in the metaverse, and he had to come in the real world because that's where the killer was. And he couldn't walk. He got blinded by the sun. He didn't know how to use his arms, let alone use his gun. And this dude was out of the metaverse for a long time and had all of his muscles, and he could see, and he was running circles around Bruce Willis.
Good luck matching that guy.
Yeah.
That hasn't plugged in.
Yeah, he was all
don't
real
give a
world.
fuck about plugging in. He's going to be stout.
Right. And he was trying I think in the movie the killer was trying to make a point of like, you know,
how defenseless and how helpless you are.
Yeah, look at how defenseless you are. This is ridiculous. Like, even the cops can't even catch me. They're like jellyfish. They can't move. I forgot about that movie till you said something that reminded me
and
of it.
And that's why we'll all be aliens soon.
Yeah,
ready
like
for the next planet.
Yep. We're going to space. I don't know what it'll be like, but we're going. Maybe it'll be like the new America, that maybe they'll be like, no metaverse allowed, no Neuralink. We've got to be free humans. It's always interesting when there's a breakaway civilization. That's when shit gets interesting. Like, these bunch of people that are like, all that shit over there, fuck that. Let's go over here and do this other shit and not tell anybody.
That's why people are obsessed with, like, Atlantis.
That's you're right, man. You nailed it. That's the ultimate, like, ooh, what were they about? What were they doing on that island?
Because we assumed that there was so much culture and so much technology that had nothing to do with everything we know about.
Yeah. Yeah, they even made a whole TV show about it, Stargate Atlantis, where Atlantis was a spaceship that took off and went to another galaxy. But every time in the episode, they would uncover a new skyscraper, and it would have all this crazy technology and these like floating crystals that would take your mind over, or some other kind of crazy, wacky shit. But yeah, that's the city, the mystical city of Atlantis. All of the heights of technology they achieved. What were they all about?
Yeah, there's a reason why Avatar resonated with everyone. It's because that alien race used their technology to integrate them with their planet instead of just remove them completely.
Yeah, that was interesting about them, wasn't it? There's a lot of people sympathetic to them and didn't want to see news feeds of them killing all of them.
And that's a weird thing about life, is like, you could almost take any card that you're dealt, and if you just like buy in completely and work your ass off. For example, like every big decision you come on, if you just flipped a coin and you're like, fuck this, I ain't thinking about it, I don't know what to do. Like, whatever the coin says, I'm gonna work my ass off and I'm gonna figure it out. I got a feeling that you would be just as successful as like everyone else, instead of like constantly being like, I gotta really think about what the. It's almost like whatever card you're given, if you just like play it to the fullest, sometimes that's more powerful than being like, what am I going to do next? Let me think about it for the next week. Let me procrastinate. Let me analyze it. I actually have a friend that he says when he has big decisions that he flips a coin.
Wow.
Like, my first instinct is like, you're fucking insane, dude. And then, he did give me this argument. He's like, well, it doesn't really matter what the coin flip is. It just matters how I deal with it. There's certainly some truth in that, because look at how much life does give you that you have no control over.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not 100% on board. I'm not going to, if I like a girl and I'm not sure whether to pursue her or not, I'm not going to flip a coin.
Yeah, it seems sarcastic.
I love my free will.
Yeah, it seems that...
It just kind of shines a light on the idea of your cards are not as important as how you deal with them.
That's a nugget of wisdom there, yeah. That's true. But, I also think the coin flip is like a sarcastic a laugh in the face of reality, because the coin flip, yeah, there's things in life that are out of your control, but to flip a coin when you do have control, I think is a little...
I think where they were coming from, they were saying that
unnecessary.
They don't have the knowledge or wisdom or the data to even make the correct decisions, to just let the universe play it out. Whatever shows up, they're going to figure it out.
Or...
I'm not 100% on board with that.
Or they don't want to take responsibility for making decisions.
Oh, I'm sure there's some of that too.
But that could be my disagreeable nature that I have. I'm a very disagreeable person.
No, because when people purposely decide to make a decision and it falls apart, that hurts so fucking more than you being like, well, the coin told me to do this.
Right, yeah.
It didn't work out.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. It's the coin's fault. It wasn't me. The coin told me. And that can lead to a lot more problems, perhaps. Because I think the goal, as a human, as a man, because we're men, there's a want, a need to create more and more order in your life. So by the time you're old and frail and, have all these kids and grandkids around you, you don't have to run around like a chicken with your head cut off. You have it all figured out. You've got it handled. You've got the order. You've made the decisions, the mistakes. You figured it out, and now you can enjoy it. Because
I agree. Whenever you're young and your body's super capable of dealing with all the bullshit life has to throw at you,
yeah,
that's great. Deal with it. But as you get older and you get more and more order in your life, and you're less capable of dealing with all the randomness.
Yeah.
It's nice to have some order.
Oh, yeah.
When you come home that your house is set up in this way.
And then you can go have a nice Sunday drive. Relax. Look at the world. Enjoy the order. Because the order brings peace. It brings us a serenity about that probably isn't there as much when people are younger.
Death is, that'll be when humanity completely disintegrates and falls apart. It's whenever we figure out how not to die.
It's interesting you say that. I'm watching a TV show about that. It's called Altered Carbon, and people can skip bodies. You can be a man and get in a woman's body. You can be a young and get in an old body because that's all the state has to offer. And you just download.
I recently watched this movie, and this guy got stuck in this time loop because his portal he went through.
Uh-huh.
And every day, no matter what he does, no matter what happens, he wakes up that same day. It's kind of like a classical rendition of Groundhog Day.
Yeah, Groundhog Day, yeah.
But this was an interesting take because he did all kinds of fucked up shit. Because he knew, that there was not any ramification. But, as much as that does light up some of your darker evil desires, you're like, well, I could just kill people. I could just rape people. It still affects your own soul.
Yeah, it'll fuck you up. It'll corrupt you for sure.
So I do feel like if I got stuck in that time loop and every day I woke up and tomorrow was the beginning of the day, I'm not saying I would do everything the same. I'm not saying I would go to work every day. But I don't think I would be out here mistreating people just for the entertainment.
Oh, God, no. I would be figuring out how to make shit cool. You know what would be really neat? Is if you went around your town and you saw everything bad that was happening and then you changed it. And you made a map of it. And I wonder what would happen. Instead, like what you're saying in the movie, the guy did everything bad possible. What if you did everything good possible? Maybe you would break out of the loop. Maybe it'd be like Quantum Leap or some shit. Did you ever watch that show, Quantum Leap?
No.
That guy, he got. I guess that's what I'm thinking about. Why I said that. What I just said. He got hurled back through time, and he couldn't leave that time he got sent to unless he did good deeds and fixed a situation. And then he got to move on to the next time jump. He was like a knight, and then he was a singer in the 70s, and then he was like a coal miner, and then he was a guy in Vietnam, and he had to do like a good deed, and he got sent to the next time jump.
Sometimes I wonder, all right, so Christianity and a lot of religions are set up to judge you in kind of a black or white way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is good, this is bad, you go to heaven or hell.
Right. The wheat from the chaff.
I think the universe might not be so black and white, and I think it's more of a cause and effect kind of thing. Like, everything we do has an effect, similar to, the butterfly effect.
Right.
And I feel like that's just the easiest way to sum it up, is heaven or hell. Like, your actions are going to cause heaven or they're going to cause hell. That's, very simple, boring, all right, we get it. But in reality, it does seem a lot more complex. It seems like everything you do has an effect, so sometimes I don't think it's as simple as good intentions are awesome, and eventually good intentions are much better than bad intentions. But it does seem like the action is more important than what you meant by it. Because sometimes you have a good intention and bad things happen, you're like, all right, I'm going to alter my course, I ain't going to do that again. But sometimes I wonder if that's how the universe is. It's that complicated to the point where it's just cause and effect.
Yeah, it's a lot of blurred lines. Well, with everything you just said, what pops into my mind immediately is, what if humans are here to make these borders? What if that's what, because we're obsessed with it, you know what I mean? We're like, in the Bible, separate the wheat from the chaff, create the walls. The Garden of Eden is the best place. It had walls. It protected us. This is out here and that's in there, within and without. So it's something that our species is just obsessed with. Like, this is gold, this is lead. This is food, this is poop. This binary 1 and 0, light and darkness. Actually, somebody that you might be very interested in that's talking on this same line of philosophy you are is Jonathan Pageau. He's friends with Jordan Peterson. He just dropped a really good video where he kind of gets mathematical about this stuff. He's making all these charts. He's making these graphs going off in different directions of light and dark, earth and heaven, of what, getting into this whole thing that you're getting into. Have you heard of him before? Jonathan Pageau. He's a wood carver and a philosopher.
Yeah, I've heard of this guy.
Yeah. Really cool dude. I think he's taken up the torch of Jordan Peterson's biblical lectures and going into some deep detail here. I really liked his charts. He had a lot of good graphs going on that was very good at explaining what we're talking about, actually.
Sometimes I feel like the soul is very egotistical. And what we are is a little bit more of a soup. I love individuality. But at the same time, it does feel like the soul is very egotistical.
I think a part of it is...
If you look at biology, there's no way getting away from other people. We're definitely connected with other people. I'm not going to say we're one, but we are super connected.
Yeah, we're kind of like fibers on a quilt, and we're all different colors and different materials, you know. But we're one big blanket making somebody warm. I guess. I don't know where I'm going with that analogy, but individuals coming together.
And clearly the life we lead influences our community, our family, the people around us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of odd to think that your own specific soul, your individual soul, would go somewhere for eternity when our entire life we're so intertwined with these other people. It's this weird dichotomy of we are our own thing, but we're not our own thing at all. Because even the conversations we have are not only influenced by our biology, but by culture.
Where does
the more I'm talking about it, it does seem like very egotistical that you would die and live in your own heaven for eternity, when everything we've experienced so far has so much to do with the people around us.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. Yeah, especially in some of these Eastern religions that where you're not going to see people anymore, that you're just going to be vibing in a lake of energy, and you're a wave or something. You're a ripple in the pond. I think the Christians kind of go hit that. They're like, you're all your loved ones.
Loophole the Christians do, because they understand how much we love people, and they're like,
yeah.
Well, the people that don't make it to heaven, you're not going to remember them.
Yeah.
You sure? You sure about that?
Yeah. I don't know.
There's people I love that don't follow this doctrine. I'm just going to forget about them. You think so?
Yeah, I can't believe that either. If somebody's sent to hell, I'm sure you're still going to remember them while you're up in heaven. You're going to be aware, of that. I read something interesting. It was this book, this science fiction book called Old Man's War by John Scalzi. And it had a very interesting concept of heaven in that. When you turn 75, you could enlist in the Space Navy. And you would take an elevator up into space, and it was connected to this big space station with spaceships docking on it and leaving. And you went up there and you transferred your mind into a new body, and you left your old body behind on Earth. And you got this body that whenever light hit it, it would turn into food on your skin, because your skin was like plants. And you had this super fast half cyborg brain that could come up with all these crazy concepts, and you could wirelessly talk to everybody and be connected to the internet. It was called a brain pal. But anyway, so I was reading it, I was like, this sounds like the Bible. Like, you're going up into heaven, you're getting a heavenly body, you're going to fight heavenly wars. So he enlisted himself, because he was like, fuck it, I guess I'm going to die anyway. I'm 75 and I can't wait that much longer, and once you're dead, they can't put your body in a space one. So you serve in the space military for like a few years, and then you get a farm and a house, and you don't have to serve anymore, and you get this kick-ass body. But I was just thinking, what do you have to do once you're in heaven? Like, is it like a retirement home? Like, there's shuffleboard?
Just playing basketball?
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Are you fighting demons? Is there something going on with, like, a war with hell? Or is everybody chilling? Is that, like, over? What is happening? Where is this place? I don't know. I got so many questions about it. But they do deal with it. Like you said, they're like, yeah, everybody that you spent so much time, all these relationships, all this energy, it's saved. It's in a save file, and you're going to get it to it at the end of the game. And it's going to be fun. It's like fun mode. After you beat the game and you got infinite ammo and infinite life, and you can just have at it.
The problem with that is that I played a lot of video games.
Uh-huh.
And once you beat them, you get that God mode, it gets boring real fast.
Right. So what's there to do? Do you get bored? Is that where the idea of reincarnation comes in? The Buddhists and the Eastern people are like, yeah, heaven, you don't want to do that. You just want to be reincarnated again and come back and play the game again. But at zero, with no help and no cool weapons and no nice items that'll save you. You kind of want to act like you forgot it all.
I think it's more complicated than muddy.
Yeah.
Reincarnation it makes more sense to me. Because at least then you got a new game, and everything we do on this earth is is going to influence the next one.
Then you got a problem. Here's the problem with reincarnation. Is everybody a copy of some other dude? Since we're all reincarnations, how do new souls get born? See, they're not able to answer this shit. That's a big hole in their philosophy of reincarnation. If that's true, then some of us have to be copies, right? And some dogs and cats that you have to be somebody you knew in a past life. So that runs into its own. I just am not finding a model that fits with the reality that I'm seeing with my eyes and my consciousness. You know what I mean? Some things seem to work with this thing and some things seem to work with that. And I also see a parallel of issues with that in mathematics. They're trying to, find this unified field theory of all of the this one equation will figure it all out of gravity and the photons and all that shit, but it just doesn't add up in the end. Have you ever...
Who this podcast is, I don't think we're going to figure out life and death.
We can touch the walls of it and comment on the texture.
Well, one thing with reincarnation is that this doesn't have to be the only dimension. Reincarnation could express itself in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different places.
Here's a concept I want to throw at you is that Jonathan Pageau guy was making that chart and stuff, and he was talking about how all of these scientists talking about the Big Bang and evolution and everything, they're claiming that if we're going by a dualistic model of ones and zeros and light and dark, the scientists' theories are claiming that everything came out of chaos and darkness and is going towards intelligence. And then you have the theologists and Christians saying that it started with intelligence and we seem to be getting less intelligent, or, we're getting further away from God. We're getting further away from creative spirit, from creative energy. So the scientists, like I said, they believe in the chaos, not the chaos theory. That's a whole other mathematical quandary. But they believe that everything was crazy, primordial soup, shit was exploding everywhere, and somehow molecules formed out of atoms, and those molecules formed into cells that had organelles and different subsections of organs that did certain tasks, and then that made us. Without intelligence. H.P. Lovecraft displays this concept in his Azathoth god, the idiot god of chaos that is just creating stuff out of idiocy. What do you think about that? Do you think things could have originated with an intelligence, with a personhood, with a personality, somebody that had a sense of humor? They were here and they wanted to create the universe, or do you think it was, the chaotic way? It was just random, and we've bumped together out of chance and statistical probability. Light or dark? I don't know. What do you think about what I'm saying there?
Well, it does bring up a lot of issues. First off, we believe that we have free will, but for us to have free will, it's what created this magical, powerful consciousness that we're expressing at the moment. For that to come out of soup, seems like that's what are the chances of that? But then it gets in the whole point of like, did the creator come out of soup?
Right.
And that's why I said earlier, it goes back to what I was saying, that I think things are muddier and a lot more complicated and a lot weirder than what most atheists and what most religious people want to admit.
Right. Yeah, like what you just said, that's a great thing. Does God come from the same can of soup that we come out of, or is it a separate can? And if that's true, why is he in that store and we're over here? It does get very complicated very quickly. Especially with the metaphors.
Well,
I like the metaphors, though. I think they help.
But I think religions do a good job of trying their best to sum it up.
I do too.
I don't think anyone's nailed it yet. I think it's going to be a long fucking time before they do. And whenever someone does nail it, we're all going to look at them and tell them that they're stupid.
And no soup for you.
Because, I mean, look at life. Life is so messy. Like, even the good things you've accomplished, lots of times, you got to, like, wade through mud and, like, go through so much bullshit. Nothing's obvious. Everything's complicated. I think God could be the same way. I think our religion could be the same way. I think our creators could be the same way. And that's just something I've found that helps me live life to the fullest, is like embracing the chaos and the craziness. I love the fact that my free will can make some sense out of this and create some order. But to ignore the ridiculousness of reality, I can't do it in good faith. I can't do it in good faith. I can't do it out of good intention to try to sum up our existence in a couple paragraphs. Because I can't even sum up my own thoughts in a book. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine, like,
I'm tracking you, man. I'm feeling what you're saying.
We know have written over 20 books.
Yeah.
So do you think that you could, like, sum up our existence in a book? I think it would take the Bible and the Quran and whatever these Eastern philosophies, I think it would be the combination of them all, and then you're still missing a lot.
What do you think that would look like, though? Even though there would be a lot missing, it would be closer because it's everybody kind of 2 cents in on the subject across time and continents. And, you know, I've always said, you know, there's a little merit in the human experience on the other side of the planet. You know, they can't just be wrong or stupid. They think that for some reason. The same reason that people over here think these things for this reason.
We might disagree with their culture, but clearly they have a working culture. They're still over there making each other, and they're still over there living life every day.
And I've always heard it as such an insult if you're a cherry picker, you know, but does that mean that they're proud of eating the rotten cherries, the ones that aren't as good? Like, I've never understood that analogy, that insult. Like, oh, you're just a cherry picker. Because, you know, I've always, when it comes up, people are like, so what do you believe in? I'm like, well, you know, I kind of have this opinion here and that opinion there.
It's badly phrased, but I understand the tension. The tension of it is like you only choose things to suit your argument.
Yeah, to suit your argument. Yeah, that's right. And
but in general, the term cherry picker is like, hey, I'm taking all the good things.
Yeah, that's how I've thought about it. I'm like, I'm taking this good thing that I see merit in, that I've experienced even myself. Maybe this other thing has merit, but I don't quite understand that. Maybe I will later. Or maybe it just doesn't hit me the way that this other thing that I heard hits me. And why is that such a bad thing? I don't know.
My problem with this, the religion and the death and the meaning, is that it's it's hard to define that for one fucking person. So for me to try to define it for all people, it seems too arrogant. It seems like an unattainable task.
Yeah.
And I know being agnostic, that's the easiest way out, because saying you don't know, that's the laziest thing you could possibly do. But I'm agnostic in good faith in that I honestly don't know, and I honestly don't understand, and I honestly can't put it together yet. I'm an optimistic agnostic. I do think that things we do in this life could potentially help us in the next. And if they don't, at least they help the next people.
Right. There's a legacy to be left and held.
But the more I put together, life is so fucking complicated, man. For anyone to sum it up and be like, this is what happens, it seems so fucking arrogant to me.
Well, I think people are obsessed with that. People are obsessed with distilling thoughts, making them shorter, simplifying equations. It's some strange, deep obsession within us to simplify everything. To have a self-help book. How about this? 12 rules for life. There's only 12. You read them and you're going to unlock life. It's something that we've got to do, and I don't know why. I agree with you. It is very arrogant.
That's because chaos is very scary. Like,
right.
We don't want chaos, you know.
We're trying to make these maps, and I think the simplification is that. But it is also how arrogant it is to make a simplified map of the universe. But, still yet we press on. We're like, hey, it can't be that complicated. We're going to make this easy to understand. A baby could figure it out. And that's the goal, it seems like. The young have people as young as possible to quickly understand the universe so that they can get to the next phase, I think, is the goal.
And then on top of that, if there was a judge, I feel like he would be perfectly aware that we're not all Charizards.
Right.
Would judge people accordingly.
Right.
My mom is a simple woman. My mom will never be Joe Rogan.
Right. Yeah.
There is no way any God in his right mind would meet Joe Rogan and my mom and even attempt to judge them in like close to the same way. That is just so illogical. I guess you could try to boil it down to intention. Intention is very powerful.
Oh, it's everything, really. But as I said, as the saying goes, good intentions, they do pave the road to hell. People have the best of intentions, and then they get twisted around by other people. And that's the thing about the free will. It's kind of like turns into an ocean. Like one thing is trying to be a wave, and then the other thing is dipping down, and you're all connected to this like fabric, sort of. This person makes this action, that affects this thing.
A lot of people struggle with algebra in high school.
Yeah.
There's usually at the complicated problems, there'll be like 5 or 6 variables. We're talking about millions and millions of variables right now.
Yeah, millions.
And one thing I do think Christianity was onto is the judgment of the individual. Because everything you do, every decision you make, it comes from you. So while we are connected to everyone we're around, the things that me and you do. That's us.
Yeah, we're out there in left field doing something different. And I think I mentioned this to you before, but I'll do it for the sake of the recording. Only like 30% of people are individuals. We were talking about that line test.
Yeah.
Where you had the 3 separate lines, and then you had 5 people, and one of them was the test subject. The other 4 were in on it, and they would be like, this line matches with that one, and it's not the right length. They're lying. And then only like a third of the people stood up and were like, hey, no, this is incorrect. You all are wrong. I'm sticking with my answer. But 70% of people went along with it and were like, yeah, that's right, I agree with everybody. And then they asked them after, like, you gave the wrong answer, right? And then everybody was like, yeah, I know. I just wanted to, look like I knew what I was talking about. And then the other percentage of people were like, oh, I just wasn't sure, but everybody else seemed to think it was that, so I went with that. So there was 2 different responses to why 70% of the masses just kind of go with the flow. And then you had the third of individuals that are like, hell, this is crazy. What are you all talking about? I don't care how many people are saying this. This is wrong, and you're nuts. I wonder why that is. It seems to be a consistent number of people, and that number, I wonder if that number can increase. I wonder if we could invert that and make it 70% individuals and 30% people that go with the flow. But I also further wonder what those implications would be. Would people be working? Would there be enough people to do everything? If people don't want to just take orders, and we are really self-aware, could we still exist? Or what would our society have to morph into in order to exist? And why is society trying to grab on to this concept of controlling individuality, controlling these type of people from reaching their full potential, whatever Pokemon card they have to play? Why is it not encouraged? Is my thought process with everything we've been talking about here. Is that a demon? Is that what evil is? Trying to just suppress the individual?
In a perfect world, individuals would actually want to connect and provide to the tribe in their highest level possible. But even though you're doing whatever you want to do, what you want to do helps everyone else.
It's a win-win-win.
I do agree that what you're talking about, there is some demonic evilness going on, because a lot of these people, they don't give a fuck about the tribe prospering. They care about themselves prospering. They're pretty much like a dark Charizard.
Would you say they're individuals?
Yes. Yeah, like Mark Zuckerberg, he might be more of an individual than you or me both.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That guy is doing his own thing, 100%.
So it seems that this 1/4% or this 3% of the population.
The problem with having Charizard power is that it's the Spider-Man quote, great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
This guy's a full-blown Charizard, but now he can do whatever he wants with all these Pikachus. If he wants to make more money, he can. If he wants to make their life better, he can.
If he wants to evolve them, he can.
And that's what's weird about the whole Christianity thing. It's like, a guy like this is going to be judged more harshly because he has more power. But that's why the soup gets muddy. He didn't choose to have this power. He was just born a man. Next thing you know, you created Facebook. Now he's in this position. Who knows what he did in the last life to get this position?
Right. Yeah, that's another thing with reincarnation. Say you do something really fucking awesome and kick ass and you get rewarded with karma, and like you say, you're Mark Zuckerberg. Maybe he did something kick ass according to reincarnation. How else could he have this? But then he does all this fucked up shit. Does he get his good shit taken away next life when he dies? Is it this like a constant ping pong contest with yourself? Is that what the Buddhists
yeah,
and
he's
stuff?
Gonna be a mouse in a mousetrap.
Is that what's
slowly
that?
Slowly dying of that sticky poison.
Yeah. Is that the fate of conscious beings? Is that, that seems to be what reincarnation is saying in some ways. But I have the habit of picking everything apart.
Well, this has been a great podcast, man. I got to get off here.
Hey, yeah, this has been wonderful, man. I'm going to post this if that's cool. We've remained, hidden and anonymous, so.
Post it.
Yeah, I'm going to post it, and then I'll send you a link, and we can see what happens. And if other people out there that are listening have some ideas, comment down below. And until next time, this has been real. This has been fun. This has been real fun.